James Dean. Hollywood's kept boy and the price of fame. James Dean remains one of Hollywood's most enduring icons, a symbol of youthful rebellion and cinematic brilliance. However, beneath the polished image of a brooding heartthrob lies a murky underworld of exploitation, secret relationships, and a whispered history of being a kept boy. Dean's journey to stardom was riddled with struggles, and many believe he engaged in gay-for-pay activities to survive in the ruthless entertainment industry. Born on February 8, 1931, in Marion, Indiana, James Byron Dean had an ordinary Midwestern upbringing. His mother, Mildred, was his closest confidant, but her untimely death when he was 9 shattered him. His father, unable to care for him, sent Dean to live with relatives in Fairmount, Indiana. It was here that Dean's love for acting blossomed, ultimately leading him to move to Los Angeles for college before later heading to New York to chase his dreams in theater and film. Life wasn't easy for Dean as he struggled to find his place. He was an outsider, often misunderstood by his peers due to his deep introspection and artistic sensibilities. While he participated in sports, he was more drawn to poetry, drama, and philosophy, things that made him stand out in a conservative small-town setting. His move to Los Angeles was not just about pursuing acting, it was an escape from a life where he felt constrained and unseen. Hollywood in the 1950s was a world of power plays and hidden relationships. For young men seeking stardom, the casting couch wasn't reserved solely for women. Rumors swirled that James Dean engaged in relationships with powerful older men who could help his career. The term kept boy refers to young, attractive men financially supported by older, wealthy benefactors in exchange for companionship and, in many cases, sexual favors. Dean was reportedly involved with several influential Hollywood figures, including studio executives, directors, and agents who held the keys to fame. One of the most talked about figures in his life was Rogers Brackett, a well-connected advertising executive who allegedly provided Dean with financial support, housing, and career guidance in exchange for a more intimate arrangement. Brackett was known to host exclusive parties attended by Hollywood elites, where young, desperate actors were often introduced to wealthy patrons willing to sponsor them in exchange for absolute submission. James Dean, like many struggling actors, was willing to do whatever it took to make it in Hollywood. Some accounts suggest that he was coerced into compromising situations, engaging in sexual encounters with men in powerful positions. This included private parties where the elite of Hollywood would prey on young aspiring actors desperate for a break. These gatherings were more than just social events, they were transactional affairs where careers were made or broken based on obedience and silence. Dean was said to be a frequent guest at these clandestine meetings, where he was exposed to the underbelly of Hollywood's most depraved desires. Young men like him were expected to entertain the rich and powerful, sometimes enduring abuse at the hands of those who held control over the industry. Some reports claim that Dean, though outwardly charming and confident, deeply resented this system, but felt powerless to escape it. He allegedly confided in close friends that he despised the roles he was forced to play behind closed doors, roles that extended far beyond his on-screen performances. The term gay for pay often applied to Dean in these contexts. Unlike those who openly identified as homosexual, Dean was known for fluid sexuality, adapting to whatever the industry required to survive. He played the role of an eager young star in private settings, engaging in intimate encounters not necessarily out of personal preference, but as a means to an end. He reportedly loathed the power dynamics involved, but understood that resistance could mean the death of his career before it had even started. Dean's relationships with older men weren't just about career advancement, they came with dark consequences. Some sources suggest that he was emotionally and physically manipulated by certain benefactors who saw him as property rather than a rising star. The price of their generosity was high, complete control over Dean's private life. He was expected to be available at all times, to fulfill their fantasies, and to remain silent about what took place behind closed doors. Those who resisted often faced dire repercussions. Dean was aware of actors who had been discarded by the industry after rejecting the wrong advances or speaking out about their experiences. The walls of Hollywood were lined with cautionary tales of young men who had been used up and then tossed aside when they were no longer desirable. Dean, whether by choice or necessity, played the game well enough to ascend the ranks, but at what cost? Dean was rumored to have been introduced to high society men in exclusive underground clubs, where illegal activities and sexual exploitation were rampant. These secretive gatherings blurred the lines between indulgence and abuse, leaving many young hopefuls permanently scarred. Some say that Dean's inner turmoil, his brooding, melancholic nature, wasn't just an act but a reflection of the emotional and psychological toll these experiences had taken on him. He saw firsthand what happened to those who resisted and understood the invisible chains that bound him to this world. Dean's sexuality has been a point of debate for decades. While he had high-profile relationships with women, including actresses Piera Angeli, Liz Sheridan, and Ursula Andress, many close to him have suggested that he had intimate relationships with men as well. In an interview, Dean's co-star and close friend Elizabeth Taylor once alluded to his bisexuality, and several Hollywood insiders have claimed that he had romantic entanglements with men throughout his life. His most famous quote regarding his sexuality is, "No, I am not a homosexual. But I'm also not going to go through life with one hand tied behind my back." This cryptic remark fueled speculation that Dean was at least bisexual, engaging in same-sex relationships either for pleasure, career advancement, or both. Despite the shadows of exploitation and secrecy, Dean's talent was undeniable. He quickly rose to fame with his raw, emotional acting style that resonated with America's youth. His performances in East of Eden 1955, Rebel Without a Cause 1955, and Giant 1956 solidified his place as a Hollywood legend. Tragically, his life was cut short at the age of 24 when he died in a car crash on September 30, 1955. His premature death cemented his legacy, making him a symbol of youth, rebellion, and untamed passion. Many speculate that had he lived longer, his past connections and the secrets of his early career might have eventually surfaced, potentially ruining him in an era of rigid social norms. James Dean's story is one of immense talent but also of the dark realities of Hollywood's power structures. Whether he was a willing participant or a victim of circumstance, his rumored status as a kept boy reflects the industry's harsh treatment of young, vulnerable actors. His sexuality remains a mystery, wrapped in whispers and speculation. Yet, regardless of who he loved or what he had to endure, James Dean's legacy remains untarnished. He is remembered not for the secrets he may have kept, but for the unforgettable performances that made him an immortal icon of the silver screen. The dark side of Hollywood has claimed many souls, but Dean's legend endures, forever young, forever untouchable, and forever haunted by the price he paid for fame. I hope you found the details of this story as fascinating and unsettling as I did. You, mysterious, curious, intellectual, disturbed, beautiful people. My name is Penny Flick, with Kreep-ish. I look forward to sharing more of these stories that captivate and intrigue our minds, which can challenge our way of thinking. Comment on your thoughts below as I continue to uncover the mysteries of our history, true crime, paranormal, conspiracy, and cringe-worthy, creepy content. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember that the truth is often stranger than fiction.